From the time we are children, society hands us a comforting narrative. We are taught that life is a level playing field, a circle where everyone starts at the same line. But the moment you enter the real world, you watch that flat surface shatter into a jagged, rigid hierarchy. Biology and nature have never operated on a flat distribution. Under the Pareto principle, 80% of outcomes are driven by just 20% of causes. Nature inherently clusters resources, rewarding strength, adaptation, and leverage rather than fairness. If you want to master the forces that shape your reality, subscribe to MindUnlock right now. Understanding this biological and social hierarchy is the first requirement. Accepting that the world will never be a mathematically fair circle is the necessary step to eventually leaving the bottom. To see exactly how this hierarchy is engineered, we can look at the social inequality matrix. It reveals that a person's socioeconomic stratum is largely defined by power distribution and ownership structures from the moment they are born. This pyramid chart uses World Bank data to visualize a stark reality. For 87% of the population, intergenerational mobility is effectively frozen. The vast majority are structurally walled into their parents' brackets. This occurs because structural heterogeneity, massive productivity gaps, systematically siphons resources upward, restricting the masses. Fighting the existence of this pyramid is an exhausting use of energy. Demanding a perfectly equal outcome from a machine explicitly designed to generate hierarchy results only in frustration. When nearly 9 out of 10 people are locked into their starting positions, wishing for a different system is a distraction. To find the exit, you have to look past the frustration of the wall and start examining the specific levers that allow the remaining sliver to move. This raises a critical question. If the global data so clearly shows the game is weighted, why does society pretend that anyone can make it if they simply try hard enough? Philosopher Michael Sandel identifies this as meritocratic hubris. The elite convince themselves that their status is entirely the result of their own virtue and hard work, often overlooking the systemic luck that placed them there. Human psychology supports this through the just world fallacy. To reduce anxiety about how random and cruel life can be, observers will actively blame victims for their own suffering, rationalizing that the marginalized must have done something to deserve their place. The illusion of pure merit serves as a psychological weapon. It allows those at the top to maintain their status, while making the marginalized feel like their systemic exclusion is a personal moral failure. The human mind takes this further. Under system justification theory, people crave order and stability so deeply that even those trapped at the absolute bottom will aggressively defend the oppressive status quo. This craving for order pulls people directly into the victim trap. They surrender their personal agency, choosing instead to spend their lives complaining about systemic unfairness in comment sections and daily conversations. But complaining is economic suicide. The hierarchy does not respond to tears. It ignores moral outrage, and it grants no points for fairness. Instead, it only measures and respects execution. The system is undeniably flawed, but outsourcing your blame to that system strips you of your personal power, ensuring you remain trapped exactly where you are. Those in the top 1% operate on a different metric. They never wait for a level playing field. Instead, they locate and leverage every tiny asymmetry and advantage they possess. This graph illustrates the concept of compound advantage. At the bottom is the flat trajectory of someone waiting for fairness. Above it is the aggressive, exponential curve of an outlier. Success goes to the person who leverages the world's inherent inequality to snowball their resources. If we zoom in on that upward trajectory, we see it is not a single lucky leap. The elite treat life as a war of attrition. Their advantage is constructed from thousands of micro-repetitions, extreme personal accountability, and sheer, unbroken intensity. Mastering this matrix requires you to abandon the expectation of fairness, replacing it with a commitment to relentless, asymmetrical execution. We can find the foundations of this internal shift in ancient insights born along the riverbanks of Varanasi. The concepts of detachment, Vairagya, and karma teach us to move our locus of control entirely inward. You cannot change the macro-level sociological inequality of the external world. However, you have absolute dictatorial control over your internal energy and focus, known as ojas. Silence your words. Stop demanding fairness from an apathetic matrix, and silently build your own empire. If you are ready to officially abandon the victim mindset, type dominate in the comments below and hit subscribe to MindUnlock. Accept the world's brutal inequality, not as a curse, but as your greatest advantage. Rise high enough, and you get to dictate the rules yourself.